What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Statistically Speaking, a UteNation podcast. I'm Ute fan Ivan. I'm joined here by all three of these handsome gentlemen, Dustin, Joe, and Matt. I always got to try and sneak in a handsome compliment in there somewhere because I know it bothers Joe. Trying to teach him.
I have to look at myself every time we do these, so I know it's evident. It's evident. The moneymaker is slipping, Ivan. It just is.
We are here to discuss the upcoming matchup between the University of Utah and the Colorado Buffaloes. Coach Prime coming into Salt Lake City. It's going to be a stripe game in Rice Eccles, if that statistically affects anything. Supposed to be red and black. Gonna look cool, I think. What are you guys' thoughts going into this one? What are the stats saying? Yeah.
Colorado's a much better team at home.
What? Sorry.
Colorado's a much better team at home. They have covered at home, and they have they're tied. The line was 3 against Georgia Tech, and they lost by 3. But they have failed to cover against both Houston and TCU on the road. They're a better home team, and they're in Salt Lake. So I think that is a big deal for Colorado. They have done a good job feeding off of that home crowd energy, and statistically, they don't really rank above 40th in about anything.
Do you think that's why
both adjusted stats and raw stats? They're just not much that they're good at. That's not fair. There's one raw stat where they're ranked above 40th, which is kickoff returns, where they're 23rd.
I am excited to get the Utes' most storied Rocky Mountain rival in the stadium. I've been missing the emotional high of rivalry games, so I'm looking forward to this multi-conference legendary conflict between these two football teams.
Who did Utah play on rivalry week?
It's gotta be Colorado. That's our only rival. The only available one. I don't know what else. There's no other teams. What are we talking about here?
BYU doesn't, the Big 12 doesn't do rivalry week, but if we did, we'd be playing Kansas.
Oh, Kansas!
Call it now.
Utah by 10.
There you go.
This is mercifully not a super interesting football game, and one that should be quite comfortable for the Utes. Also, I totally agree with the home field assessment. It's also, there's not a lot of stats to back this up, but we've talked about it before. Kickoffs at 8:15. A particularly unpleasant evening, I think, awaits the Colorado Buffaloes with a wounded and angry Utah football team and a crowd that's probably going to really be looking for something to cheer about. I think all of that stuff is gonna push that home field advantage to the max. Of course, that's is home field advantage 2.5 points or 3.5 points. So it's not a huge deal, but it does add up, especially if you're starting to think about the line. As if you watched our prior episode, I was so in my feelings this week that I forgot to do the chart. It would not have been a very interesting chart. This is one of those charts where, especially because of the sort of defensive efficiency of the Utes when they play teams like this, Colorado's got the 82nd ranked defensive efficiency, 40th ranked offensive efficiency compared to Utah with the 12th offensive and 11th defensive efficiency. So there's a lot of circumstances where my model has Colorado getting negative points, which means that a ton of the model falls off the back end and you just wind up with this big fat curve because Colorado's getting shut out a lot in the sort of adjusted model. So these wide gap games where you have average score is for my models probably about 14.5, 15 points advantage for Utah. These kind of really wide gap games when Utah's defense is at the peak of its powers like it is this year, they're that's what they look like. They just all get pushed off the back end because the Buffaloes are getting shut out a lot in the model. They run a few thousand of these, and a bunch of them are going to be shutouts. I think that it's been very interesting to see the lines continuing to move in Utah's direction game after game after game, and I think that reflects that despite the Utes' 2 losses and their continual sort of struggle to stay in the rankings, FPI has them as the 16th best team in the country. I mean, Utah has played exceptionally well down to down, and looking forward, there's no reason to expect that to change. So I think they're just going to wallop these guys, and I'm inclined to agree with the sort of smart money that's been pushing Utah to the Utah side of the line. I think the line is 13.5, right? Open to 12.5, moved to 13.5. I pick Utah by 15 though. I'd say Utah probably doesn't shut out Colorado, but something like 27-12 would be my pick.
Joe, I feel like you're a little just uncomfortable not having a chart here.
No, I don't know what to do. What do I say?
I
There's
got
no
this.
lines.
I got this for you. This is a trash removed from.
Oh,
Lake
look at
Merritt,
that! Yeah,
line graph.
yes. Thank you.
Hopefully that.
So you can see right here that the Colorado Buffaloes are playing like trash removed from Lake Merritt, and so Utah should be able to win with fairly significant ease.
Yeah. No, I honestly, we've just seen the injury report from Kyle showing Devon Dampier as questionable, as well as Tobias Merriweather. And so I personally don't think the line should move too much with either Dampier or Ficklin at quarterback. I'm actually a pretty big Ficklin fan. I love what he does on the field. There's not been a drive where he goes out and doesn't do something that impresses me. So I do think Utah wins this game. They're also coming off of the emotional loss last week. I think they're, like you said, they're going to be injured. They're going to be angry. I look for the offensive line and defensive line to dominate this game. The one concern that I would have if I'm Utah is Colorado has really good speed on offense, and they're just athletes. So, I predict Utah's gonna win by 7. I'll say a touchdown. So,
I'm actually feeling uncomfortable with this game, and I know I look at the stats, especially I look at like Colorado's rush defense. Yeah, this is what
Thank you.
exactly
This is
what I'm
it.
looking
This
at.
shows you everything you need to
That's what
know.
I'm
This is why I'm nervous. No, listen, they have a horrible rush defense, and so Utah should be able to take complete advantage of that. But when your leader is potentially not going to be playing in the game, and you have to put a true freshman out there, and I know Utah just got beat by a true freshman. I probably shouldn't even bring that up, but typically true freshmen struggle a little bit, and that makes me a little nervous because when Ficklin puts up his big numbers, it's kind of been in situations where the other team's defenses are either not fully out there anymore because the game's already been decided, or they're just not really watching for him, not game planning for him. If Colorado is able to game plan for him a little bit, that makes me nervous. The other thing is Colorado has shown some improvement. They really did stick pretty close to BYU. In fact, it almost looked like they were going to upset BYU. They beat Iowa State.
At home.
Yeah, and you look at their injury report, and there's not a lot of main starters on there, and there's a lot of guys that have been missing that are returning. Colorado's coming off of a bye week. So while Utah just got beat up playing their rival, Colorado's been resting. They've been game planning. And actually, there's about 3 guys that were out on the defense that are all looking. They weren't on the report that I was looking at. So these things make me really nervous. The other thing is you look at statistically speaking, they have played now. Georgia Tech has the number 19 offense in total offense, which is almost about the same as Utah. Utah's number 22. BYU's 34. TCU's 32. Iowa State's 57. they've played some pretty good offenses, and the most they've given up is I think 37 to Houston, which was actually the worst offense that they faced this year outside of Delaware, Wyoming. We're not talking about that, but so this is what makes me nervous. Anytime a team's coming off of a bye week and the other isn't, is a risk, and then the starting quarterback's out. And this is a team that's got a lot going for them right now as far as, hey, they just beat a ranked team in Iowa State, a previously ranked team. It's dangerous. I'm you don't know how a team's really are they going to bounce back, or are they still kind of feeling that loss to BYU? So I'm only saying Utah 3-point win. And if Dampier doesn't play, this is all speaking if Dampier doesn't play. Without Dampier, I think it's going to be more like a 24-21. Utah still gets the win, but it's going to have a lot of Utah fans nervous. This is they've been a lot better. Colorado's been a lot better these last few weeks, and I really hate that they got the bye week when Utah didn't.
I think you could put an octopus in pads and a helmet back there. Utah's got the 11th best, I think, rushing offense in yards per carry, and Colorado's the 112th worst and is bottom half of the nation in sacks and tackles for loss. So that, I mean, every indication is just Utah's just going to run all over them, and I don't think it matters as long as whoever is taking the snaps can hand it off to a running back. Colorado's not going to get the ball. Utah's going to score plenty of touchdowns.
Well, if it's Dampier or Ficklin, we know both of those dudes can run too. I mean,
that's true, right?
Yeah.
That's worth saying because Utah's rushing success is dependent on having a mobile quarterback. But
right.
That's not the piece that changes when you change quarterbacks for this offense.
I hope you're right. I don't want to have another game where I feel sick the whole game. I want to just.
I agree. I agree with you, Matt. I don't know how much the injuries matter in this particular spot. The only thing that really worries me at all is that they got a bye week, right? So they get 2 weeks to prepare. But this isn't a team that historically, and we only have a season and a half of history with this coaching staff, but this isn't a team that historically wins a lot of games by over preparing and out scheming their opponents. This is a team that both last year and this year wins by playing more emotional, playing faster, getting the big play. That is the kind of team that Coach Sanders wants to put out there. And this year's team, looked good against Iowa State in Boulder, looked really bad against TCU at TCU, looked pretty good against BYU, 24-21, right? Covered the spread in Boulder, covered the spread against Wyoming in Boulder, got destroyed by what we thought was a bad Houston team. Now, it's a solid Houston team. We were wrong about Houston. And I don't mean the four of us, but I mean the media generally was wrong about Houston. They're a better team than they look like, but got destroyed at Houston. I really don't think this Buffalo team is good at going on the road. And they also, want to go through it. They're 79th in passing offense, 85th in rushing offense, 62nd in pass defense, 116th in rush defense, 93rd in total offense, 103rd in total defense, 87th in scoring offense, 64th in scoring defense. They're 73rd in completion percentage. They're 100th in interceptions. They are 88th in net punting. They're 46th in red zone defense. I went through every statistical category trying to find something that they were good at. They are 80th in sacks allowed. They have not improved over last year's sacks numbers very much. They're better than last year when Sanders was getting sacked constantly, but 80th is not great. They're 56th in passing efficiency. They're 78th in passing efficiency defense. They're 120th in sacks. They get one a game.
John Henry Daly has more sacks than their entire team.
Yeah, and they're 84th in turnover, or 84th in tackles for loss, and 90th in turnover margin. I literally went through trying to find one thing that they were top 40, and the only thing I found is kickoff returns, where they're 23rd, and that is 25 yards per return. So if Utah puts it on the end zone line, it will be equal to them fair catching or returning it. generally, and they haven't returned one for a touchdown. They get a decent number of yards on kickoff returns. This might be the worst team Utah's played since Wyoming. So I am not. Yes, they got a bye week. They're healthier than they were. They beat Iowa State at home, but they are very different at home than they are on the road. I think Utah wins and covers. I think it maybe is a little bit more points than I am expecting it to be. I think I probably was going to pick like 30 to 15. I think it probably is a little higher than that. So I'm going to say 38-21, Utah.
After you talked about the octopus with a helmet, Joe, I
you just
got an
see
idea.
there with little tentacles going, and he's getting
I
the
can.
ball.
I'm like, I'm going to get that. But you know what came to my mind? And no, please. Oh, man, I don't want to make anybody mad, especially this kind of a big guy. But Semi Taulonga, we got to talk about him for a minute because I would love to see him just be quarterback in this game and just let him go.
Let him hand
that
it off.
guy is such a
Run
freak
the option.
athlete. When he had that big play, oh man, that was actually fun. I hope that they continue to throw him the ball when he's not. There was the one where he gained like 13 yards, and then there was the other where Dampier kind of threw it to him 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
That's not the Wildcat offense. That's like the wild rhinoceros offense. It's just a totally different vibe.
I don't personally think. I mean, you got the tush push, but I think if you give Semi Taulonga the ball on any 4th and short, he's going to get you 1 to 2 yards.
Who's stopping him, right?
There's no way to stop him.
They're going to draw straws for who's got to fill the gaps. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think that's a good set of predictions, guys. I'm gonna call it there, unless anyone's got anything else they want to add to this. I will say that according to this chart, you know, I think Utah wins. So okay, we're gonna call it there. Guys, thank you so much for watching Statistically Speaking. We appreciate you guys. If you guys have any predictions for the game, drop them in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, join UteNation.com today with promo code UTE50 to get into a platform Alex has worked really hard to make happen. Gives you insider information on the Utes. And we appreciate all of you. Have a great rest of your day, and go Utes.